Artificial intelligence in focus at the World Economic Forum that's happening in Dalian, China. And world leaders are gathering to discuss the rapid growth of the technology to understand the opportunities and the risks associated with generative models. Joining us live from Dalian is Cathy Li. She is head of AI, data and metaverse, and also member of the executive committee at the World Economic Forum. It's good of you to join us, Cathy. We know that you've been in and out leading seminars. I just want to ask about your role first. It's a recently created one. You previously held a different portfolio. What does your position say about the focus on AI internationally?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So indeed, the role is relatively new because we have been having the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution at the forum since 2017. But over the past few years, we've changed and merged some of the portfolio. And now with AI being the center of the attention across the industry and society, we are giving it a lot more importance. And that's why AI is definitely now one of the biggest portfolio at the forum within the technology focus. And we launched the AI Governance Alliance last year. And nowadays we have about 280 organizations joining the work with us, covering from the technology frontier features to industry transformation, leveraging AI to AI governance. So very, very comprehensive work.
Those are many endeavors indeed. I mean, you mentioned the AI Governance Alliance. I want to just jump in on the challenges surrounding regulations of AI and data. Talk to us about how that particular project is going.
Absolutely. So with AI governance, as we all know, that this is still a nuanced technology. That means different regions and countries and jurisdictions have very different approach. With EU taking more of a horizontal kind of approach, with US and China have a more of a vertical kind of driven governance approach. But let's also not to forget, within the industry itself, among all of the organizations that's deploying the technology, they are also taking a responsible AI kind of approach, because no one wanted to see that their employees or suppliers, customers, being endangered by this nuanced technology. So we're seeing a very multifaceted kind of approach, which is what we wanted to see as well, because at the end of the day, the responsibility is not only with the AI model producers and owners, but increasingly we see that responsibility is throughout the entire AI value chain that goes to all the way to even the end users and the application adopters as well.
You mentioned the EU's AI Act. It just tells you that the industry is getting more and more regulated. How do we then ensure that innovation and AI entrepreneurship won't be stifled?
That is a great question, and that is one many of the regulators and policymakers and the industry are grappling with today. That's why, I go back to the role of the World Economic Forum, which is a global platform, and we really wanted to make sure that everyone, the community, come together so that we could look at the overall principle when it comes to safety, security, privacy, interoperability, many of the aspects of AI governance, to make sure that we're all operating under a kind of coordinated set of principles. And only when you build that kind of trust among the community, that's when you see that the innovation really is given room to thrive and not being killed, at the onset. Also, very importantly, we need to have the kind of ethical standards and framework in place, because without the capability to even measure the risks and also the opportunities that will come with AI adoption and deployment, it's not going to be even possible to think about how do we regulate the technology and how do we make sure that innovation isn't stifled. So, to sum up the forum, we are working really hard to really, round up all of the different multi-stakeholder because at the end of the day, AI as such a ubiquitous technology is going to touch on every aspect of the society.
And you've been busy on stage discussing various aspects of AI with various experts, neurotechnology being one of them, very exciting, and also the surge in demand to power AI. I find this particularly interesting. How do you best manage this? Because AI does take up a lot of energy, sucking it all up. Do you have to be more selective, perhaps, what projects to pursue? Who's best as well to manage the ambitions of AI startups?
Indeed, that is actually the million-dollar question, and to be very frank, we don't have the good answers for. Because on one hand, you see the uptake in AI adoption across different industries, but on the other hand, we all know that based on the current prediction, the global electricity usage is going to have at least 30% more upward uptake based on the current prediction of the AI usage by 2035. And our current power grid is not going to be able to handle it well if we don't come up with new solutions relatively soon. And also at the same time, think about the electricity that's going to be required to power many of the data centers. They need to be sourced from carbon-free sources. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to meet the goals of reducing carbon footprint and therefore compromise the net zero goals. But we are also facing this kind of what we call a trilemma, because on one hand you have the net zero goals, on the other hand you have the demand in energy consumption to power AI, and also the third element here is that with more and more countries and jurisdictions impose the data localization strategy and requirement, that means data center cannot actually be located too far away from their own jurisdiction. And we all know that the data centers require cooler climate, access to clean energy, and clean water. All of those requirements can actually not be met at the same time currently. So those are the difficult questions that the industry have to answer. That means we need to be able to predict more accurately in terms of the actual, electricity and other clean energy usage, and based on that, to be able to predict the electricity and other energy capability in the next 10 years. It's not going to be easy, but again, with the Forum's AI Governance Alliance, and particularly with the Industry Transformation Initiative, we are trying to figure out what that equation might look like. It's not going to be perfect, but at the same time, I think to have some of preliminary responses is better than having no common ground at all.
I appreciate your time so much, Cathy Li, and of course for a summary of all the discussions that you've been having there in Dalian. Cathy Li is head of AI, data and metaverse and member of the executive committee at the World Economic Forum. Thank you.